The first thing we're going to do is make our hot fudge sauce. So you're going to put in a saucepan 1 cup of whipping cream and 1/2 cup of light corn syrup. You're going to bring it to a boil, and once it's boiling, you're going to whisk in. It's like rather 10 ounces of the semi-sweet chocolate, or 1 1/4 cups of chips. And once that's done, you're going to put it in the fridge, preferably overnight, because for this recipe you want your hot fudge sauce to be cold. So I really want to emphasize that you really want to whisk this in. Now I'm using like a beater whisk because my big whisk has gone missing. I think my little chef in the making took it. But you really want this smooth. See how nice and silky it looks? Because if it's not, it just is really gritty in your pie. I don't know if you have watched my ice cream cake video, but in that one, I don't think I whisked it long enough, so the fudge part was just a little bit gritty. So you really need to whisk it up and get it really nice and smooth, and it'll pay off if you just spend the extra couple minutes making sure that it's there's no little pieces in there. Alright, so we're ready for the next step with making the Mile High Mud Pie. Now I should warn you that you need to have a good amount of space in your freezer, and that this specific ice cream cake has a lot of stop and go to it. So okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get out a good size mixing bowl. This is how you're going to get your great shape, and we're going to be building it basically from the top up. We're building it backwards because eventually we'll flip it over. So the very first layer is our top layer, and it's going to be chocolate ice cream, and you're going to fill it in the bottom and then up the sides of the bowl. Alright, so it's going to look like that. Doesn't have to look perfect by any means. Now we're going to put it in the freezer just to let it set for about, I don't know, half an hour. Okay, so while we're waiting for the ice cream to set, we're going to work on our next layer. It's going to be crushed peanut butter cookie pieces. Sorry, so I bought a box of cookies, and I'm just separating them like you see here, and then I'm putting the 2 pieces together with the frosting, putting them aside for later, and then taking the cookie pieces, putting them in a Ziploc bag, and then I'm going to roll over the cookies with like a rolling pin and make them really nice and fine. So we needed 1 cup of the cookie crumbs, and so 1 of the packages was sufficient. So just the cookie halves from 1 box. We're good. They're perfect. So next we're going to take our cooled fudge sauce, and we're going to line the ice cream with it, and then we're going to pour on our cookie pieces and just make sure that they're evenly distributed. There we are. So now we're going to put this back in the freezer for 1 hour. So for our peanut butter layer, we are going to take 2 cups of peanut butter, 2 cups of icing sugar, about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and just mix it together till it's nice and smooth and creamy. Okay, next we're going to add this whole container of vanilla ice cream. It is 2 liters of it. So this layer you want to make as flat as possible. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you don't want it to have the same curve like the chocolate ice cream, because this is going to now be the beginning of our bottom of the cake. So once that's done, you're going to put it in the freezer again for another 30 minutes to an hour. Alright, so now we're going to add our peanut butter mixture to the top of our vanilla ice cream. There we are. And then next we're going to drizzle on a little bit more fudge sauce, and then top with these Oreo crumbs. So you're going to melt about 4 tablespoons of butter in 1 saucepan, and then you're going to just mix it into the cookie crumbs, a whole package of the cookie crumbs. Alright, we're ready to put our cookie crumbs mixture on top of our cooled fudge. So I patted down the cookie crumb, and oh my goodness, this is going to be one massive cake. So next I'm going to take some cling wrap, and I'm just going to cover the top and put it in the freezer overnight. Alright, it's morning, and the cake has been setting all night long. So now we're going to flip it over and put it onto this plate. So you need to make sure you have a big enough plate surface for this huge cake to go onto. Now how you get this out of the bowl is you put it in the sink. So you fill this up with some warm water. And you just hold it in for a few seconds and then put this over top and flip it over. Alright, so I had to keep it in for almost a minute to get it out, and then I just used this like plastic spatula to tap on the bowl to get it out, and as you can see, the base has melted quite a bit. So back into the freezer it goes. Okay, so the last thing you need to make for this cake is the whipping cream. So you can use it from a can or cool with whatever you want. I have a lot of whipping cream left over from the fudge sauce, so I'm just going to beat it up, and I prefer my whipping cream to be sweet, so I'm going to add some sugar to it as well, and then just put it in the fridge so that it's ready when it's time to put it on the cake. Okay, so the final thing that you're going to want to do before you cut your cake is put both caramel sauce and chocolate sauce on your plate so that your cake will be sitting in it after you cut it. And there we are. I cut through with a very large knife, and you can see all the yummy layers. And then here we are, the final product. First slice is always the hardest to get out, so it's not perfect, but put some whipped cream on top, put a little bit more syrup. We'll zoom in for you, and you can see the chocolate and the cookies and the fudge and the peanut butter and more cookies. Just delicious. This really huge cake. It's great for a big party, and it's a lot cheaper than buying it from a store. Enjoy.